All right, let's get right into it. So I'm gonna take you through that home buying process for you. It's kind of a lot of information, so don't hesitate to reach out. Of course, you can subscribe, but let me know if you have questions in the comments below. You can feel free, shoot me a text or an email, phone call, whatever's good for you. DM on Facebook or Instagram is great, because this can be a lot of information and I want you to be able to really digest it all. Also, and this isn't a shameless plug, but when you're ready, you can schedule a buyer consult. I'll stick a link in the description, but we can walk through this in person, take it a little bit slower, talk about your specific goals. And so when you're ready, you can certainly reach out and do that as well. So let's look at this buying guide here. This is my home buying process. So right now you're starting and you're in the red zone. So you can take as much time as you need. You're just thinking, you're dreaming. We're currently just dreaming about buying your next home. You can put together all the plans you want. You can research online. You can look at different properties when you're in the dreaming phase. Okay. Again, that buyer consult that I mentioned, that's really going to be your first step. So we'll get you into the office. We'll sit down at a conference table. You'll help me to understand what your goals and dreams are. And then we'll put that to paper with specific actions of, all right, in order to get there, we got to get all the way to the end. This is what we need to accomplish, steps A, B, and C. So buyer consult, it's totally free, and there's no strings attached. So you can feel free to schedule that one. Of course, after that, I say is when your pre-approval needs to get done. So you've probably heard that's your first step. Pre-approval really needs to happen after you've gotten that buyer consult done, because if you're not even ready to go yet, then we might tell you to hold off getting pre-approved. But you'll want to do that. Speak to a lender. Now, I do recommend you talk to at least a couple of different lenders, maybe 2 to 3, okay? They'll help you to be able to shop between different loans, which one's got the best rate, which one's got the best closing costs, different things like that. I've got a whole nother video you can watch on that topic, but generally just remember, you want to shop with 2 or 3 different lenders when you're getting your pre-approval done there, okay? Now that we've gotten your buyer consult done, we've gotten your pre-approval taken care of, that's when we're going to start doing your showings. We don't start your showings first because if we don't have that pre-approval letter in hand, you can't make an offer. If you can't make an offer, there's not much point in seeing properties. I know it's a bummer. Everyone wants to just start with showings. But once we got everything in ready, we'll go see some homes. Now, typically you're going to see a few different homes, maybe 3, 4, 5 different homes the first time you go out. We will just be casually looking, kind of window shopping, so that you can get an idea what your budget's going to get you in different parts of town. Once you've got that in line, then we can start making those offers, which is really the exciting part, okay? We'll find a home, you'll love it. At that time, I'll help you decide what the best price we can offer is, what the other terms are, so we can get something that's favorable to the seller, but also works really well for your situation. We will typically have to write a few different offers, so I normally say about 1 to 3 offers before we get your offer accepted. Now, in a more competitive market, you may have to write more than that, depending on which price point you're in. If you're in a lower price point that's more competitive, I'll walk you through that. But generally, I just want you to keep in mind, you may have to write more than 1 offer until you get that offer accepted, okay? This isn't HGTV. I'm not gonna show you 3 homes. You're gonna make 1 offer and get it accepted, okay? So just keep in mind, you may have to write a few different offers. But eventually, it will get accepted, and that's what's gonna be so exciting. You've finally gotten an offer accepted on that home. You're so excited. Now, I want you to follow along with my little dollar signs that you'll see down here. These are gonna be the only increments really that money is gonna come out of your pocket for anything through this whole process, okay? So not with getting pre-approved or consults or anything else. Once you get your offer accepted, that's when the first time you're gonna write a check for, and that's for your earnest money. Now, earnest money is not an extra fee that you pay. It's essentially just a check that you write. It sits at the listing agent's brokerage account usually, and they'll hold that so that if you get cold feet, the seller gets to keep your money. Assuming you don't get cold feet, then that'll just get applied to you as a credit at your final closing cost number at the very end. Okay, so it's not an extra fee. You'll pay it up front. So how much is your earnest money? Typically, I recommend at least 1% of the sale price. So if you're buying a home that's $250,000, let's say, expect to spend about $2,500 on your earnest money. Now, if you can do more, that'll certainly help you as well. And if we have to do less, we can take care of that as well. But typically expect about 1% to do once your offer gets accepted. Second thing that you're going to write a check for is if you have an inspection, it'll be due to pay for that inspection. There might be 2 or 3 different of them, and I'll help you walk through which ones, but generally expect to spend about $400 to $800 for your inspections, okay? $400 to $800 total, which will be due for your inspections. Now, you've typically got about a week to get those inspections done. If we find any issues that we can't negotiate, you can cancel the purchase agreement and get your earnest money back. So that's not a big risk there. You'll only be out the cost of your inspections, and that'll be money well spent. But assuming everything goes well and we can negotiate through inspections, then it's actually smooth sailing from there. So that's what we call the underwriting period. That's this green phase here through all the way to closing. The underwriting period, really, you just got to keep the lender happy. Now, you don't want to change anything about your finances. You don't want to take out any big credit, go buy furniture on some in-store credit or something. You don't want to take time off of work, get any big cash deposits in your bank account. Nothing like that that'll rock the boat for the lender. They will also recommend, or they'll require, a number of different documents, some additional pay stubs, bank statements, verifications, things like that. So really, I just want you to remember, during the underwriting period, you've got to keep the lender happy. If they're happy, everything will move smooth sailing all the way to closing, almost certainly. The next big checkpoint is going to be the appraisal. That's what's happening during that underwriting period. It really won't affect you too much, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. But the appraisal is basically the bank getting their inspection to make sure that they're good with the price you're paying and with the condition of the home. Pretty much don't have an issue with that the majority of the time, and it actually can kind of help the buyer sometimes. So nothing to worry about there. We'll get your appraisal taken care of. Then right before closing, you're going to see you get that final walkthrough, okay? Final walkthrough is the morning of closing typically. We just want to make sure that the home's in the same condition as when you previously saw it, back when you got your offer accepted there. Make sure it's the same condition when you go to buy the property, okay? Assuming everything is going great there, then we'll be right at the closing. Now, closing can sound really intimidating, but that's when your final cash is going to be due there. Your lender will help you to understand exactly how much cash there is, but a really good rule of thumb you can use is about 7% of a purchase price, which would be due at closing. Half of that would be your closing costs, half to be your down payment. And it's a really loose guideline. So talk to your lender. I can help you understand more specifically, but plan for about 7% minimum is going to be due at closing without down payment assistance or something, okay? At closing, you'll sit around a conference table. We'll have the closer, myself, you, maybe a lender, maybe the other party, the sellers. They'll have a big stack of documents for you to sign. And then once it's all done, you'll walk away with keys. We can take you a sold sign selfie, and the home is officially yours. So that was a lot of information. Hopefully everything made sense. I'm sure I missed something that you have a question about. So feel free, please leave me a comment down below. We'd be happy to help you on your journey. And then reach out. Here's my contact info. You can find it down below with my website. And you can also download this buyer's guide, and I'll send you the PDF totally for free, no strings attached. So thanks so much for watching. Here's more videos you can check out as well, and I'll see you on the next one.